So we are in the management accounting control system. Yesterday, in the previous video, I have explained you all about what are the characteristics which are involved in maths. We have seen two different characteristics which were there, technical, and we were talking about the behavioral characteristics. Now, when we were talking about behavioral characteristics, there was one very important thing which we were talking, that is ethical code of conduct which is there. It means when you talk about behavior of an individual, it's very important to understand what exactly is the code of conduct in an organization. What is the code of conduct by the employees in an organization? It has to be known. Now, the next part which is important for us to understand in maths is to understand what are the indirect costs which are being involved in designing maths. So that's very important when you talk about management accounting and control system. So when we say indirect cost, we are basically talking about what are the impact which maths would have, which may lead to certain side effects in an organization, right? So MCS, that is Management Accounting Control System, provides substantial benefits in terms of enhanced probability, but there are indirect costs, that is negative side effects that are inherent in the use and type of control which is there in maths. So when you're talking about management accounting and control system, no doubt it's very useful, no doubt it's very beneficial. But there is one thing which we have to understand, and that is that there are certain negative side effects which are there in the usage of your maths. What are these? So these indirect costs which are there are, first one, behavioral displacement. What do I mean by behavioral displacement? Usually, behavioral displacement means you will find that if maths is not, that is the system is not set properly, then there are chances that an individual may become stressful and may misbehave, may not try to reach the goals of the organization, but may start thinking about personal ethics only. He may not think about the organizational's requirement, the organizational's goals. He may start thinking only about, his own personal goals which are there. So here what happens, let us imagine that if at all you are talking about two particular individuals who are there, who are playing golf. Let us imagine that these are the parties who are involved in two competitors. Let us imagine that our company is company A and there is competitor B. Both are playing golf. Now here, the question is that if at all for a particular contract you want to receive some benefit you want from B, then sometimes personal benefit has to be foregone. It means by trying to win the race, maybe you will have to lose out the game, see that B wins the game, and then starts the benefit which is there for the organization by making that particular individual happy, and then see that he is actually trying to listen to you. Now the thing is, there is a conflict. Okay, there is a behavioral conflict. So when can an individual forego his particular personal benefit for the organization goals? If at all he is satisfied, if at all he has the clarity, if at all he is benefited in the future, yes, he would do some small, foregoing which is there. But suppose that doesn't happen, then problem arises, behavioral displacement would come. It means if in spite of all his efforts, he is not earning or he is not satisfied, then undoubtedly he would not think about the organization goals. He will not be actually in tune with the goals of the organization. So it means his stress is leading to misbehavior, a behavioral displacement, which is there by not reaching the goals of organization, but possibly, personal goal may become important, right? So that can happen. Now, this would become an indirect cost for the management accounting control system if the system is not in the right place, it's not in control. The second thing which is there is gamesmanship. Gamesmanship, just now I was telling you. You are trying to plot and play tactics for self growth, then it means you're thinking about individual growth, right? No direct benefit to the organization goal. You call it as gamesmanship. It means that particular individual is not thinking about the organization anymore. It means the system is going wrong. It means there is something wrong in the controlling activities which are there. It means either human beings or physical assets, there is something which is out of control. So, when the system is out of control, you can't expect maths to actually successfully be implemented. So, here in the beginning only we said, it's very, very important for maths that things are under control. When we say MACS, Management Accounting and Control System, you are talking about control. Control means you're talking about things in the right place. You're talking about organization goals. You're talking about people's, activities diverted towards organization goal. But here, what's happening? If suppose there is a gamesmanship played in an organization, it means that particular individual was possibly not happy. There is something which is pinching him. That's the reason he's trying to plot or he's trying to play certain tactics for his self growth, but he's not thinking about the growth of an organization. So this would be one indirect cost which is there for for maths. Operating delays. These are the unavoidable consequences which are caused due to strict control and measure of data securities. Let us imagine I say that things have to be, highly centralized. If I say they are to be highly centralized, I tell you undoubtedly there is something called a delay which would take place in any organization, right? Decentralization is required, of course, keeping in mind that it should not be diluted beyond a particular extent. So when I'm talking about operational delays, we are supposed to avoid those delays which are, due to unnecessary controls or strict controls. In certain cases, you can see that there are certain decisions being taken over by the lower level managers. So here what's happening? Try to see that your centralization or decentralization of activities, they are there to such an extent that there is not so much delay in your activities that it's leading to huge cost in the application of the system. Negative attitude. Negative attitude, it affects control due to frustration on the job, conflict, job tension. If it happens, an individual is not comfortable with the system, he would resist. He would not accept the system. He would not accept the change. Change will not, will not make that individual, comfortable. So what happens? He starts getting frustrated on the job. Conflicts can be due to, the difference of opinion between the higher level managers and the lower level managers, right? Between people at the same level who are there, possibly between supervisors, between managers, between employees. Now, when does this happen again? There is some loophole in your system, it means. If there is a conflict, either between managers or in the hierarchy or, between the employees, some loophole is there in the organization, which actually is leading to huge conflicts. Now, not necessary when I say, some loopholes, not necessary that everything should be favoring employees. No, that's not again right. Things are supposed to be towards the organization goals, because only if organization flourishes, person can actually get a good, future. So here, it's not that too much of favorism either to an employee or blah blah blah. The thing is, it has to be organization goals, and then it has to be that uh, satisfaction of each and every employees. So your system should be framed in such a way that things are set in the right place. And when we say no conflicts, thing to be kept in mind is that neither should the CEO, nor the manager, nor the supervisor, nor the employee, none of them actually should think too much about their personal ethics. They are supposed to think about organizational code of ethics. So, if at all we talk about max, indirect cost due to max can occur if your system is not in the right manner. So it can be due to your behavioral displacement, or it can be that one individual is trying for his self growth. There is certain operational delay because there is too much of strict control on maybe data which is required has to be strict, but data which is not data which can be let free, which can be accessible for managers easily, has to be given to them. So those operational delays may sometime increase the cost and negative attitude if the individual does not is not happy with the system, no clarity, there is lots of ambiguity with the system, or possibly there is too much of bossism, or possibly conflict between people, right? If personal ethics are given more importance than the organization ethics, undoubtedly you would find that the cost of management accounting control system would shoot up. So going to the next aspect which we have here is design and evaluation of max. A good management control system depends upon the organization goals, practices, and strategies which are there. Now, when you say organizational goals and strategies, we have to keep in mind that if they are being set properly, then it will lead to a better set of feasible control alternatives and reduce the chances of behavioral displacements. It means nothing else but a proper system will reduce your indirect cost, which is there in max. An organization should evaluate all available alternatives before finalizing the plans. It means it should keep in mind that what if at all it doesn't happen this way? Then what's the next alternative? Now remember, if at all an organization doesn't have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, keeping in mind all the unforeseen happenings which may be there in the future, then organization will always be in chaos. Why? If things which they planned do not come their way easily, then there would be a chaos. There would be a conflict. That would lead to huge indirect cost for max. So here, always it's important that while designing, they are supposed to design with certain alternatives, thinking that if first alternative is not successful, how do I try to make or implement the second alternative? The organization should clearly communicate to its employees about the expected results and the role of each employee in the organization. This is must. It's very, very important that whenever delegation of responsibility is given, it means you ask someone to do a particular job, you give a duty to them, make it a point, authority is also given. It means it's not that I simply delegate, responsibility, and if I keep to myself the authority, then you wouldn't find anyone accountable for the work. Why? There is someone else doing, and you are the ones who are dictating. You'll find that there would be a conflict between parties. You can't expect the person below you who is doing the work to actually successfully complete the job. So, as much as is required, authority has to be delegated. I wouldn't say complete delegation, but yes, as much as is required. So when I talk about organizations, communication, it's very important that we clearly communicate to the employees about the results and the role of each and every employee. Talk about what is their duty. While giving their duty, give them a little bit of authority. See that they are able to successfully implement on the basis of activities which are communicated to them. A different system should be adopted depending upon the severity of the problem. Now, in some cases, it may happen you've adopted a system, but whatever changes you're making maybe are not leading to success. You're forced then to change the system itself. See that you adopt a different system, change your complete pattern which is there. Possibly things are not going in the right direction, and possibly it's not sufficient to make alterations when the system itself is wrong. So make it a point that you adopt, a different system if the problems are very, very high. They are out of control. So when I talk about maths while designing, you have to think that there is a good management control system being adopted to see that the goals of the organization and strategies are implemented. See that, avoid all the indirect cost by checking that the system is being adapted in the right manner, communicated in the right manner, and problems, if any, are actually being solved. So avoid the indirect cost and make it a point there are alternatives available for the plans. Clearly communicate to the employees and bring about a role to each and every employee. As I already told, that it's compulsory that every employee who is there, every person who is involved in the system, I told you that besides their duties, they should be given some part of authority as much as is required for them to complete the work in order to, successfully and satisfactorily complete the job. And in case it happens, the problems are cropping up on daily basis, the system which is there completely should be changed. Adopt a different max, make changes, bring about the new max which is there according to the requirements for a successful organizations successful organization. Now, the organization's ethical code of conduct. When I talk about code of conduct, I'm talking about the depth in behavioral aspects. Managers, they play a significant role in the designing of management accounting and control system. It's very, very important that, the code of conduct which is being framed by an organization has to be given importance, right? It has to be from the organization's point of view, but also to see that, the person is also satisfied. Managers' behavior and decision making, is guided by organization's code of ethical conduct and ethical standards under which they abide. This is important that suppose it happens, you find that the CEO and the managers are too rude to the employees, you can't expect a harmonious way of reaching goals. You will find lots of chaos in the organization and its implementation. So it's important that managers behave properly and they make it a point that the decision is made in such a way that the organization's code of conduct is given first importance. Remember, if it happens that you find that the CEO and the manager trying to, boss and trying to be rude, then you will automatically understand that the CEO is trying to give importance to personal ethics. He is not giving importance to organization's ethics. When he is not giving importance to organization ethics, why can or how can you expect a lower level manager to think about organization's ethics? That's wrong. You can't expect him to do so. It means what's happening? There are things going wrong. It's going wrong with the top level manager only. So what should be changed? First, his behavior should be changed. Now, you set a right example for the lower level employees to think about the organization first. If the CEO, the managers who are trying to dictate the work, getting the work done, if they think more about organization and think less about their personal growth, and there you can think about the success of the organization. So the behavior of manager is very, very important for a successful system in an organization. To incorporate ethical principles into the design of MATs, designers should ensure the following. First, organization has to formulate, implement, and communicate to all the employees about the code of ethics which are being conducted. Now the question there is, you are asking people to do certain things. If they don't know what is expected, what is that is achieved then? What is that they would work for? So first you formulate a proper ethic, you implement it properly, communicate to the employee properly, then start expecting. You can't expect much before a proper formulation. You can't really expect them to follow the code of ethics. Second, when you're talking about employees should understand the code of ethics which is being constructed. When would they understand? If it's for organization. When is it that they will not try to understand? If the manager is trying to think about his personal growth. It means if you want all employees to understand, the ethics has to be constructed in the right manner. Third, a system in which employees have confidence exists to detect and report violations of the organization's code of ethics. You frame a system in which employees have confidence, right? It means they have the confidence about the code of conduct which is being formulated. They know if at all they are wrong, where to check. But suppose it happens, you didn't frame them at all. What do you expect them to detect their own errors? Where does the question arise for them to understand whether they have gone wrong or not? You frame a particular set of conduct in such a way that employees have confidence, and go through the code of conducts which are framed in the organization and then try to make changes as required. So a system in which employees have confidence exists to detect and report violations of the organization's code of conduct. Now, when I I'm talking about Max, every now and then I'm talking something about organizations, ethical code of conduct, and Max designing. Now, here there is something which we have to tell. What are those points which we have to remember in order to, you know, have a proper code of conduct in an organization? So, first, let us understand the factors which are considered in ethical code of conduct in Max. The first one is avoiding ethical dilemmas. First thing, let me not have a dilemma. Now, in this particular situation, should I think personally or should I think for the organization? Now, here there are 5 categories which are listed in a descending order which cover a broad array of ethical consideration. 1. Legal norms. 2. Societal norms. 3. Professional membership. 4. Organizational or group norms. And 5. Personal norms. Now, let me tell you, they are listed in a descending order. When I see a descending order, first one has to be given importance first. I should give importance to legal norms. You can't expect an organization to put these personal norms in the beginning. If you put personal norms in the beginning, an individual would keep thinking about personal growth. Where does the question of organization's ethics come into picture? Next, before organization ethics, you have something called as legal norms and societal norms. Keep in mind, when I'm talking about, maybe I'm talking about something like drugs. I talk about something like, let us imagine antisocial behaviors, right? Now, when I'm talking about these things, possibly a company which is trying to produce drugs, for them, the organization ethics would be, I'm fine, let me keep constructing, or keep producing these products which are there. They are for the organization. I'm trying to think about the organization ethics. No, that's not the thing. Before my organization, I have professional membership. Before the professional membership, I need to think about society. Before the society, I need to think about the legal norms which are there. Very, very important. Legal norms. What is illegal, right, is not supposed to be there in the organization at all. How do you expect the company to actually grow with all the illegal norms? So much of chaos, so many conflicts in the organization. Huge conflicts would be there. Imagine that if at all the manager tries to make certain organization ethics which are against the legal norms, there would be one fine day one employee who would try to conflict with the manager saying that what you're doing is wrong. Now there already you have created a fire, right? What does that say? First, give importance to legal norms, right? Give importance to what is legally required. Every country has their own legal ethics. They have their own legal code of conduct. Let us follow that. That decides the development of the country. So first, give importance to the legality aspects. Second, give the societal aspects importance. Right? It can be that, if at all I'm talking about between legality and societal, let us imagine that, a company is trying to, perfectly produce some very good, healthy product which is there. Let us imagine that, I am talking about, taking the COVID situation which is there. Imagine that I am talking about the PPE which is being produced for these COVID cases. Imagine that if I try to think about the societal norms saying that, let me go for a little bit cheaper products which are there, maybe very much required for the society. So let me try to go for cheaper products. That would not take the legal norms which are there into consideration. what would happen next? It's not, PPE is not basically talking about the current scenario, but the thing is the safety for a longer period for an individual. It means I'm not doing, I'm not taking legal aspects into consideration, right? It's not only important that I think about the societal benefit, but I'm also supposed to think about the other legal aspects which are there. It means, beyond the societal aspects, legal aspects are there. So when I talk about ethical code of conduct in a system, the first thing which has to be given importance is the legal norms. Second, I give importance to societal norms. Third, I talk about the professional norms. Possibly, I'm an accountant, or, I would have certain professional norms which are there, right? Maybe I'm a lawyer, I would have certain professional norms which are there. Yes, I need to follow them. Now, for example, if at all I say that, I think about the organization's profit and try to do certain unprofessional, activities which may lead to huge profits to the organization. Now, that's again going wrong. Again, this would lead to conflict, maybe not today, but undoubtedly tomorrow. So, what happens? I need to think about these ethical norms which are there in a particular order. Give importance to legal norms. Second, societal norms. Third, professional norms. Fourth, organizational norms. Last, I need to think about the personal norms when it comes to your organization. So, first, in order to see that in order to avoid the ethical dilemmas which may come in the future, first thing is that I set my ethical considerations in a particular descending order, right? So, the first factor is trying to think about these five points which are there. Second, once I frame them, I need to deal them in the right manner. Dealing with ethical conflicts. Create unambiguous ethical codes to reduce conflicts. I can't put, a word in such a way that it has 101 meanings to it and each and everyone can use it in their own manner. Okay, no, that's not the right way. I need to create code of conduct which is absolutely clear, unambiguous, clarity, no ambiguity in the code of conduct which is organized by me. So, first thing which I need to think is maintain hierarchical ordering of authority. Automatically, ambiguity is lost. Okay, it means I should not have a confusion. Legal first or societal first or professional first, organization first. No. Let me have a proper hierarchy. Okay. Automatically my ambiguity is lost. Second, the behavior of the chief executive and the senior managers. Very, very important that they become the role models which are there with exemplary behavior. Let them stand as examples. You can't expect the CEO to always fill his pocket and then he can't ask, the lower level managers, you don't think personal. I am the one who is going to think about personal benefit. That doesn't happen. The lower level managers will think about their personal benefit in their own way. Every employee will think their benefit in their own way. Lost is the goal of the organization. So it's very, very important that the senior managers and the chief executives, they behave with, in such a way that they are the examples there. Third, the conflict between individual and organizational values. Keep in mind, first organization code of ethics, then comes the personal ethics. If any point of time there's a difference, there is a conflict which says organization first or me first, then it's undoubtedly the organization which is first and it is not the person which is there. That even the CEO has to keep that in mind. Last, The conflict between organization stated and practiced values, such an important point. It's not that you keep telling, you do this, and when it comes to you, you do something else. Gone. Then there is conflict. Then there is huge chaos in the organization. You set as an example what you state, you practice. It can't happen that you state something in the ethics and then the CEO, the managers, whoever it is, are trying to implement something else. Over chaos in the organization, leading to huge conflicts which are there. It's so very important for an organization to think about these factors which are there, right? Whatever they state, they need to practice that which is there. Very important. So those were the factors which are there while thinking about, the code of conduct in an organization. So coming to the next aspect which is there, that is the organization's ethical code of conduct and max design. What are the elements which are to be kept in mind when you are trying to, find out or frame your ethical code of conduct? The elements of an effective ethical control system are, they should include a statement of the organization values and code of ethics written in practical terms. Now, no confusion. Put things in writing. Right? Second, a clear statement of employees' ethical responsibilities for every job. Very important. We call that as, we have something which is called as MBO. What does MBO says? Management by objectives. Each and every manager should know what his objective is. All these objectives which are there should lead to the organization's objective. Now, for every such activity, you need to give a clear statement to every employee what exactly is his job. Adequate training to help employees identify ethical dilemmas and practice and learn how to deal with these dilemmas. Very important. This is the reason you find that on regular basis nowadays in organizations, because there are conflicts which are arising on regular basis, they are trying to conduct many programs, development programs of employees. Soft skill training is being given to employees. Corporate social responsibilities are being taught to them. Right? Corporate training is being given to them, even if they are senior managers. You find senior most manager also going for training session to actually, for him to identify, or for him to come out of the ethical dilemmas which he has in practice. Next, evidence that senior management expects organization members to adhere to its code of conduct. To its code of ethics. Now, you need to prove, senior management should prove that they are working for the organization. You can't expect that the senior managers are proving themselves that they are doing the work for personal and expecting the lower level employees to work for the organization. No. Show the evidence. Evidence that employees can make ethical decision or report violations of the organization's stated ethics. At any point of time, you are talking about ethical conflict. How do I report? What do I check? What's the base for me? How do I try to remove these, dilemmas which are there? For that, I need a written code of conduct, code of ethics, right? So here, these evidences should be there, which can prove that in order to make ethical decisions, there are certain written forms which are there, and if there are any violations, then they are being reported in the right manner. So, whenever we talk about ethical control system, the following elements are to be kept in mind. An ongoing internal an ongoing internal audit of the organizational ethical control system. Now, this is what it is. You are not, remember, qualitative aspects, we don't try to appoint one auditor there, but yes, there should be an internal auditor, right? There should be an internal audit. I'm not talking only about the quantitative measures. I'm also talking about the qualitative measures which are to be, audited. Nowadays we have something called as performance audit. I'm not talking about, the audit of accounts. No, that it's beyond that. I'm talking about the performance audit of an organization. I'm talking about the audit of an event which has taken place, work which is being performed by an individual or a manager or a CEO, right? So if there be an internal audit which has, a proper control system. So these are the elements which are to be kept in mind when you're talking about, effective maths or effective management accounting control system. Now this, let me tell you, I need to thank Professor Apparo sir from Department of Commerce, who's helped me in giving me these details which are there. And at the same time, I would like to tell that this particular information which we have taken, all these informations are, from the Robert Kaplan's book which we have. I think you all know the balance scorecard which we have. So here, like that only we have Robert Kaplan's book on management accounting, on the various informations which are there towards strategic decision making. So I need to thank both the sources, Apparo sir from Commerce Department, and from the book which the information is being taken. Okay, thank you.